Hey everybody, we are here as out. I'm Patrick,
And I'm Paul.
and this is our fifth anniversary. Well, technically, I think it was 2 days ago. 5 years since we uploaded our first video, and for anybody watching live, we started late because 5 years in doing this, still couldn't get the damn thing to start exactly when I wanted it to. So we're off to a good start. Paul, I am looking forward to getting emotional with you, my friend.
Yeah, 5 years on. That's going to be an interesting one. One of us is going to cry, probably because it's just like 5 years.
He knows it's
Um,
me, dude.
oh man, yeah, it's been interesting.
Well, it's we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had rounds and rounds. But importantly, to everybody out there, the reason you're watching this right now is because you're curious, or else you already know us. You're a fan of the channel, which I absolutely welcome everybody who's ever seen our stuff before. If you're new, this is going to be a different one because this one is just for us and it's our little celebration party. But the format we are going to follow is no format at all. We're going to ask each other random questions, try and tell you as we go along things that we've learned in our 5 years of YouTubing, but specifically to the live commenters and the commenters in the future, because we will reply to them all. We always do. Ask us anything you want. This isn't a Reddit AMA. This is one of those. Ask us anything you want, no matter how weird it is. If you want to know about what it's like on YouTube, if you want to know what the significance of that poster or one of these other posters is, if you want to know what our favorite actor with a birthmark is, a visible birthmark, I would assume is the way to phrase that question, let us know. Just ask us and we'll do anything in this show. Answer anything in this show. Answer.
Whoa.
Rookie internet mistake there. 5 years in, he's still leaving himself open. Paul, where would you like to kick off our 5 year party?
Yeah, I guess let's look back a bit and okay, so 5 years on, what would you tell yourself like when you were starting YouTube to do different? Like what advice would you give yourself like starting off now?
Buy stocks in Nvidia. But well,
I
the number of graphics cards I've exploded thanks to this channel. I probably do technically have stocks in Nvidia. What would I tell myself starting out? Do it sooner, because what we probably haven't told people is 5 years since we first published, but we already had months of like our first video that is up on the channel, and we'll show that in a second, Paul. I reckon. It wasn't our first video by a long shot, and you can actually see older videos come after it. We eventually were like, right, we're getting together a small amount of material so that we don't have to chase every week and be working really hard. And Paul, we burned through that material so quick. What
Yeah.
I would tell myself is start straight away, because you're going to feel like you're always behind anyway. So just go for it. And
Yeah.
also do it with somebody who's just like you.
So not with me. Cool.
I'm going to make you cry first. I'm going to be nice to you tonight. That's going
Oh
to
my
feel weird.
God. Yeah, I guess my advice, if I was to give it to myself, would be that pretty much everything you're going to plan and everything you're going to try and plan is going to go out the window entirely. It's like I guess it's that tradition of like, no plan survives the meeting of the enemy kind of thing, you know. So
Best
yeah,
saying.
I think I give myself that a little bit more, and also try a little harder on the thumbnails. Um,
Oh,
so
they
I
were
think that'll
always
be
going to
one
come
of
up,
those.
Paul. So I'm going to I'm going to I'm going to fix this thing so that it actually works again. There we go. Hello. And here's a little bit of inside baseball. I'm hosting at this point, so Paul can't see what you can all see for another 30 seconds. So Paul can see me, but he actually can't see what I'm sharing with you just yet. But you will in a few minutes or a few seconds.
I
And
will
it is
be.
our Here's Out homepage. And
Mm.
Paul, I have sorted it by oldest. So you're talking about thumbnails, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, Avengers Endgame trailer, trailer breakdown and theories. We didn't even know to call it trailer reaction back then, which would have got us way better chance of getting views. But we didn't really care about SEO or any of that kind of YouTube game at the time. We were just like, let's have fun, chat together, put a camera on ourselves. It'll be fun. We'll make each other laugh. Someone will watch someday. But 125 people have seen that first ever video that we put up, Paul. And
Yeah.
I pity every single one of their poor souls.
I don't think that's entire. I think we were pretty good at it.
Actually, it's one of our better. It is one of our better videos. Weirdly, yeah, that was pure end game trailer. That got us. That got us to the point. It was the first thing that we recorded, and we thought, you know what? Let's do this because it's important. As in time wise, it's important that it would go out right now. Let's cut it together really, really quickly and get it out and see if anybody watches this stuff. And then we'll go back to worrying about the stuff that we worked on in the last kind of few weeks, months. And I'm glad we did, Paul. I'm glad it was our first video.
Yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good pulling of the trigger kind of thing. I think we were, yeah, because we were trying out and experimenting different things, and we were trying to get the chemistry right between us, kind of thing, in like on camera. Because like in the pub, we just don't care.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I think pulling the trigger of the theory trailer kind of thing was a good idea, just because it was one of those things where it's just like, let's just get the first video out there. We'll see what happens after that. Kind of thing. We'll gauge what the reaction of the video is. We got no one watching it, but it was fun to do.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I also enjoyed that we tried to uniform the thumbs at the start, because it made us not have to think about the thumbs as much.
Yeah, we wanted
more
to
kind of like,
I remember that conversation. We were like, look, we've just got to have something templatized that we can quickly. We both have full-time jobs. We didn't want to start this and then stop this. So we tried to put a few things in place that made it easier as a workflow, so to speak. And that thumbnail format, oh, Paul, we slaved over that format, for minutes. And then said, you know what? Actually, I think we can make that work. So we did for at least 30 to 40 videos. Well, about 20 videos.
Yeah. Like, but once again, it was a good kind of like, yeah, uniformed kind of thing. Two of us on each side, the title, and then, people, or like some kind of indicator image thing. I think it went off the rails kind of, I think pretty much during the tourney.
Well, actually, there's one we should bring up. The tourney. There's a mistake we made, because that put us under huge pressure. We did that before we were ready by quite some margin.
Yeah.
It was another one of those great ideas. It's one of the few great ideas we just went with, but we were not ready.
No, I would say that we weren't, but it was real fun. If for people who don't know, the tourney is a video competition thing that we did, which is we watched the greatest, the best movies from the last 10 years at the time.
The Oscar Best Picture nominees.
Yeah. And then essentially we played the Oscar game, where we chose which ones should have won. So they had all won Best Oscar, Best Picture.
Yep.
At some point in the last 10 years, kind of thing. We were picking our top 10 or top 1 from the last 10 years.
So we did an interesting bracket style, like an FA Cup or a NBA bracket. And it was fun because it was the start of us. I was going to say it was the start of us disagreeing, but Paul, I got to roll back. My favorite video, and the one I was pushing for from the very start, post-credit scenes, because I was just obsessed with that idea. And you were very kind to go, yeah, I think we should do it. Because I was like a dog with a bone. But when we did Which Die Hard is Best, if you want to see the first video where both Paul and I realized, you got to keep the emotions out of this a wee bit, because you can see us starting to get tight with each other, and it's like, God, that's not even like us outside of this. The camera added a negative energy that night, and afterwards we were like, oh, we've done it now, we're going to release it, but let's never do that again in that way. And we never did.
No, it was very much, I think it was very much the camera caused, as you say, the camera kind of caused that a little bit more tension. I think at that point we were trying to each one of us was trying to be right. Kind of thing.
Dumbasses.
And I think which was like have the argument and then just be like,
move on.
Or just be like, but at least Dark Man isn't great, or so, some kind of cut the tension kind of comment or something like
Yeah.
that. But man, we were definitely just like, Die Hard with a Vengeance is better, you know,
It's one of
which
those
is me.
things.
That was me.
We both, because we both agree so much on so many things that I think when we don't, we almost start trying to convince each other sometimes, and it's just
Yeah, that
almost to see if we can, not so much that we care. But yeah, that was a weird one. Now, but back to your point, the tourney one was again. Then back to there was a few head to heads. Where will I find them? So, Birdman, Argo, what? Shape of Water versus what the hell was the other one? Spotlight. Like some of those were so polarizing, where you were 100% for one and I was 100% for the other, in a real emotional "I love this movie" sort of way.
yeah.
And that was great because we'd started getting the vibe together a wee bit more. And it was that was when I realized, actually, I think we can do this for a little while, because if we can do that, and I'm pointing because we used to be sitting just over there, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
This is a very small room, and we used to sit there, and the PC I'm looking at now is in the background of that picture, so that's the whole room. Yeah, I figured, we can do this because we didn't kill each other. That was a really good
We were,
start.
I'll say that we were close
Oh yeah,
for certain ones. I would say, oh,
like I still
I'd,
think Shape of Water is overrated. So, there's one of those things where I'm like, you gotta let go sometime, Patrick. You gotta let go. And looking back, I'm glad I did.
yeah, yeah.
That's a wound we're not opening right now.
that's
I think I might
that's
have
that's the
accidentally.
thing. This is like Argo and Birdman are the most difficult movies to talk to Patrick about when they're up against something that you love, because
Yeah,
it's just like,
yeah. And I look, I'm the biggest ass in the world when it comes to things like that. So yeah, we've found a great way not just to be. It's not being patient with each other, but to remember that we're having fun. It's all
yeah,
about
that
having
was.
fun.
Um, I would say, oh, I see Afro Tang has come in, and said Shape of Water is overrated. You're right, Patrick.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say, because I'm not going to dox anyone, Afro, you're wrong. I know who you are, and I'll have next time we see each other, I will have this conversation.
And I'm
Um,
breaking the rule. You're not supposed to drink while you're on camera and stuff, but I don't care. It's our fifth thing. And I'd just like to say, now that I know there's someone in the comments that that is going to side with me, this may be the most confrontational episode yet, because I've got so many in the comments. Stick with me, Aphrodite. Thank you. We'll really
no,
wind them up. Let's see if we can get the little vein. I know where that vein is, Paul. But yeah, seriously, dude, we've had disagreements, agreements, but some of our most fun, I think, has been when we've both equally loved or equally like hated something together, where we've been really passionate of, I just love that thing, and then we both
mm,
get to be excited about it. Joy on the internet doesn't sell as well as negativity, but I
yeah,
think it's more enjoyable.
yeah. I think, yeah. I also think that one of my favorite things is when we think we're going to have a conversation or like an argument, and then the other person says exactly like what you wanted them to say, kind of thing. Or not what you wanted them to say, but what you thought. You thought they
Bruce
would
in
like
on
the
it, by the way.
opposite kind of thing.
Birdman is overrated. Screw you, Brian. Um, now you've got somebody on your side. By the way, not screw you at all. Thank you, everybody in the comments. And hello, Gavin, as well. Thanks, everybody, joining us in the comments. You're awesome. Please throw in as much random as you can.
Yeah. Please do ask any question as well. Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts is when you're just like, oh, I'm gearing up for a fight, and then it's just like, no, it like when we watched Ready Player One, and I was just like, I bet you, I had a feeling that you might really enjoy it, and I was just like, oh, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this argument. I can't wait because it is not a good movie,
Nope.
or book adaptation even,
Yeah.
and
Book is brilliant.
you were just
Movie,
like,
not so much.
yeah, you were like, Ready Player One has some problems. And I was just like, oh, it was like this tension that just lifted
Yeah.
off me. And I was just like, great, I can play with my friend now and just be like, it's a terrible,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because it is very tough to kick the other person's puppy. That's the other thing. Like, we've always been honest with each other, but you don't hope for that kind of conflict where I've seen something and you've seen something and we're like, right, we haven't talked about it. Let's talk about it online. There is that moment of, I hate this thing. Is he actually going to have loved it and now I'm going to ruin it for my good friend? Oh, that's not a nice thing. But where that's kind of happened, where we've been more on the other end of the spectrum on things, we've usually found ways to just articulate it and be like, you see, this is why I think it's not great. And I completely hear what you're saying about why it is good. And sometimes we've softened each other's stances. Sometimes we've pushed each other further into the trenches. But hopefully it's been fun to watch. That's
Yeah,
kind of the biggest hope.
I yeah, I would say this is one piece of advice for anyone who's starting a YouTube channel, especially one that's specifically about commentary about movies or TV shows or games, anime, anything that's
Entertainment.
popular culture, kind of entertainment. Um, do it with someone you can have an argument with, and I mean like you can literally like be at each other's throats, and then you kind of walk away and you take a breather, and then be able to come back with, because like if you can't do that, if you can't find common ground even within the arguments and stuff like that, you're not going to survive with a partnership. Because like we have been, there's been difficult moments in the channel, and we've just gone, let's just walk away for a little
Yep.
bit. We'll like take five, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss it and talk about it a little bit better. That has been really helpful, really a really big thing. Because
Yeah.
like there's been arguments, I've seen arguments with other channels, friends channels and stuff like that, where it has ruined the channel and they've just stopped, kind of thing.
And I'm gonna
So that,
piggyback on that, Paul, because there's something else, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Um, we can't ignore it forever. COVID happened in the middle of
yeah,
all this. We never intended to be doing it the way we're doing it right now. Number one, we hadn't planned on live. Number two, we hadn't planned on being in different locations, etc., etc., etc. It changed everything and really
yeah,
stopped our momentum as far as what we wanted to do and some of the things we were planning on, taking time doing less videos, but doing shoots outside and making our own little movies and all sorts of funny and crazy stuff. Then COVID sent us all indoors, and lucky for us, streaming works. We went live. We gained loads of good friends, and I met lots of interesting people and created lots of uh, content of variable quality. I'm not going to say it was good or bad. And
yeah.
shout out to pop culture, because that's where you joined our crazy little train.
Mm.
But did you find, Paul, that it's a bigger challenge? I did just drink Coke. That was my stomach gurgling. It's a bigger challenge now, and since we went kind of remote, to deal with how the other person might be feeling. Because when we used to get together, get crammed into a room, we had a small bit of prep time. Like, time was always a problem for us. It's always a problem for everybody. But you felt the other person's vibe. And if the two of us were getting tense and things weren't going great, we could do that. Okay, we're not making sense to each other. Let's take 10 minutes away. Let's do whatever, but we could come back together. Whereas remote, we have even less time and no actual body temperature to gauge anything by.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem. Yeah, so to kind of unpack, I think our live plan was going to be a lot looser in the future. We were going to do our
Mm,
still continuing doing our records and stuff like that, and then be our lives would be a little bit more conversational. I think that was kind of the idea that we were rattling with, kind of thing. And then COVID just came in and was just like, no, we gotta move to live and kind of continue this
yeah.
momentum, kind of thing. And you are right. I think we took a long time to find our feet within the streaming kind of way of doing things, and we're still trying to
Yeah.
climb that mountain. But on the kind of discussional side with arguments and stuff, I do think that because we were doing it in a space together, you couldn't walk away from the argument so far.
Yeah.
Like you were always like, as in we had to come back to the same room and kind of like, get ourselves more cooler and stuff like that. Whereas I think with the remote side, we turn off the cameras and we kind of walk away and stuff like that. There's no, it takes longer to come back, I guess, would be what I felt
Yeah,
in the past, kind of thing.
exactly. And busy lives means that, we don't talk for 7 days quite often. And where we do, it's just before we're about to start doing this. And that's different. That's different than things were before. So there's a couple of things. I think, Paul, you're right. Do, if you were giving out tips, If you can do this with somebody, do it with somebody you can have a knockdown, drag out argument with. But you're both able to look each other in the eye and go, well, that happened, and we were all stupid, or one of us was stupid, and it doesn't really matter which one. On with the show, and on we go. Because the reason we're doing this is to try and have fun and entertain other people and express ourselves in some way. So yeah,
Yeah, there's always an idea of respect between us two, and that the core thing of this is meant to be our kind of meant to be fun. So
yeah,
we would have an argument or something like that, and then kind of we'd just be like, "It's Patrick, like he's a really close friend. They shouldn't be like this."
yeah.
And then we come back to kind of having fun where we talk about
And
Back to the Future just being one of the greatest movies in the world.
it will exactly. We always do have our touchstones that we can go back to. And for us, sometimes it's movies that other people don't rate as highly as we do. Have you noticed that? Or like
Yeah,
how we met, we met, but how we really started talking about stuff like this. You watching Philip DeFranco, me watching Philip DeFranco, us being the only two people in the world who seemed to know who Philip DeFranco was in Ireland at the time.
yeah.
Lots of random things like that. And the reason I laughed a moment ago is, of course, thank you, Brian. You demand more fights. Stick around. You never know how this episode is going to go. Um, but actually, Nora asks, what's the funniest moment you can remember from the last 5 years? And as luck would have it, Paul, what's on screen right now, the Dublin Comic Con teaser.
That was fun.
Going to Dublin Comic Con had to be one of the funniest things we did because we weren't prepared, but we just slapped together a load of gear, went in, had fun, did things. But you remember interviewing people, the cosplayers?
Yeah,
Some, and like, my gosh, some of the amazing cosplay was incredible, but the people that chose to talk to us for very different reasons. Some people we approached, but you remember the kid that just came up and
yeah.
the dad was like, she just really wants to be interviewed. I'm like, screw that. She's dressed up. Tell me what character this is. This is great. And it was so positive that the dad was so happy and he was cosplay. The daughter was so happy. You were happy. I was happy. I remember both of us afterwards just laughing our heads off and then kind of going, what if that had gone wrong? And we
Yeah.
had a good 15-minute, like, hysterical, terrified kind of, the alternate history of the last 10 minutes could have been shocking and ended up with us being in jail. For asking the kid the wrong question or something. You know what I mean? Jesus, that got dark.
I do. Yeah, that was fun. It was terrifying about how underprepared we were,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and it was fun too because we also did interview Hear Us Out. We interviewed Wes and Ben from Hear Us Out, um,
Yeah.
which was one of the kind of I guess because that was before we started interviewing just random kind of cosplayers. That kind of broke the mold in the sense of like, oh yeah, we can do this, and then like which is a couple of people like Catherine and stuff like that, which is who did a great cosplay of Tony Stark's kind of racing jacket.
That's right.
Which is so we had which also broke the tension, I guess, of kind of interviewing, and then we kind of rolled into it. One of my favorite ones is definitely the special effects masters from which was
Yes.
the FX group as well.
Yes.
So
It was Millennium FX, wasn't it?
yeah, who they do a lot of stuff for Doctor Who and stuff like that, which was absolutely amazing. Kind of thing that we got to do them. We got to interview them. That was fantastic.
And if I
So,
was
but
more prepared, I would pull some of this stuff up faster. There you go.
I would say that one of my funniest moments is the is the hot seat interviews that we did to each other.
Oh, dude, really?
Uh,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
not because of the thing that happened. No, not that.
I
No,
still
not that at all.
can't look at that light. Do you know that light's still in my house? And every time I walk past it, I'll pull it up while you tell the story. Okay, I'll find the hot
Well,
seats.
that's not the funniest thing. It was more just the fact that we decided in the middle of this because we had I think like probably like 30, 40 videos out at the time. It was like well into our first year, and we decided, oh, it would be a good idea if we interview each other and have the audience kind of learn about us. And it was like so embarrassing
Yeah.
because like it was one of those moments because we're not used to the other person specifically sitting out of
Yeah.
shot asking us questions, that it was a weird, awkward moment. And I know that you like there is a we have a moment in which one of the lights nearly fell on Patrick, or did fall on Patrick.
Yeah, I cannot explain
Um,
to you how small the room is in that we were doing this. And this massive light that we were using, we had to rearrange a small cube to have a different angle of shot. And this massive sun-sized light on its nice big heavy metal rig was up above our heads. And unfortunately, during my being interviewed by you section, it decided to fall forward. And because I was blind by the light and trying to concentrate on what you were saying to me, I didn't realize until it was right in my face. It scared the life out of me.
yeah, yeah, it did scare you. Like you do say in an interview that you're a little bit shaken by it and stuff like that, kind of thing. But yeah, it those interviews were probably my favorite moment because one, it was something so different than what we've done before, um, and it was such a weird idea when you look back at it in the sense of kind of um at the time it was kind of like, oh, we'll introduce ourselves and kind of get the audience to know us and stuff like that. Um, but it was such a fun. It was. I guess it was like the. It was like the Comic Con thing. I think it was so different to what we've done before that it was a really fun thing to do. So that's
That's
why I find it really fun. I
that's
guess most of my
very true.
fun moments and like most of the fun moments I think of is like things that we've done differently from what our usual kind of molds thing. I
I have
think.
no idea how to find it, but there's one where we just did a quiz us against Alexa. I'd got an Alexa dot, and be quiet. Just
It's activates every time.
and we did the movie quiz on it, so it was us versus AI at the time. I won't be able to find it on the spot, but my God, it was such a random idea. I'm with you. Some of the most fun stuff was random. Now, Paul, I'm going to switch this over to an ad in a second, but I just want to say, while we have it on screen, our worst thumbnail, and it was me. It was one of those times we tried some new stuff. And it's the Game of Thrones one. It's red and weird. Oh, was that you? I think that one might have been me. I can't remember, but we tried some really terrible thumbnails in a little period of time, and then we got back
Oh
to
yeah.
slightly better. Um, but Paul, there's a little surprise for you. I'm playing an ad, but it's not one of our usual ads. You're not going to get to watch it now, so you'll have to watch it after the live stream. But just for everybody else, here's one that'll hopefully make Paul cry later. But for everybody else, enjoy. And Paul, you know what to do while we're in the ad break. See you when we're back, and we'll be answering more of your comments. Thank you for dropping them in. Attention, please. This ad is a wee surprise for Paul. I'm going to tell you the story of a little YouTube channel called Hear Us Out. There we are, that's us, and that's our lovely homepage with our hundreds of videos. We've been YouTubing for about 5 years now. It's been me and Paul right from the start. And I reckon we're pretty good fellas. Okay, enough of the puns. We started off in a little room, and being honest, that room never got bigger, and the sets only got slightly better over time. But we had lots of laughs, and that was the point. We started out to entertain ourselves and anyone else who was kind enough to give us their time. Thanks to COVID and the darkest timeline, things changed, and we started doing the show remotely. But at heart, we're still just a couple of friends trying to make each other laugh in that little room. If we're laughing, we're hoping that you're laughing too. I gotta say, Paul, thanks for everything. And to everybody who's watched, thank you so much for making this what it is. All right, everybody. Paul is worried that I may have done something weird, and I don't blame him, but I didn't. You can all attest to that. Paul, we could get stuck into our thumbnails forever. I think we'll dip
Yeah.
back into them as we're talking. But
Mhm.
what I'd like to do is just go over and make sure the best part of going live, the best part of doing all this, other than we got into it to create some stuff and have some fun, we came up with some really random ideas. And like you say, we probably had our most fun when we were doing the oddest of stuff.
Mm.
But I want to go back and make sure we touch on the questions because the people who have commented live
Yeah.
and after the fact, for me, that has been just the most mind blowing thing. Interacting with people that I know or don't know and having that kind of connection of, hey, maybe we did something that actually meant something to somebody for the 2 seconds that they were watching it, means the absolute world.
Yeah, yeah. Like I do think that there's been times, yeah, there's been times where we've given advice in the sense of saying like, hey, just do it. Just start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to start. You're not gonna get popular straight off the bat, but if it's what you want to
Or
do,
in our case,
you gotta
never.
start it now. Yeah, and it's like it's been fun to see some people start it, and kind of really enjoy themselves. So
Yeah. So I
still
see. Yeah. Sorry, you go first.
I'm still terrified of that advert because I got to see
No,
I got to see just the visuals, not the audio, because obviously I'm kind of monitoring the chat.
Yeah.
But
No,
I'm interested.
nothing that's going to land you in any legal trouble. Don't worry. Gavin asks, sorry if you mentioned already, but is there any videos which were dropped because they didn't work? Yes.
Yeah.
Both ideas that we had and thought were great, and I mean individually, we've had ideas each that we thought were great, mentioned to each other maybe once, and then a week or two later we'd come back and go, that thing I was saying about the thing, I thought about it more, it's really terrible, let's never do that. Then there's a category of stuff that we worked on together and we would get far enough to go, yeah, there's nothing here. But there are some videos, Paul, that we shot and were terrible, and we just thought, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, there's a rant.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a rant one, which is essentially just our ranting. I
forgot
don't think
that.
I don't think it's I don't think we have I think we have a version of it which
It might have gone on the hard drive. I don't know if we even still have a copy of that. I hope we do.
so
We-
there's
R.I.P. Old Disky. We lost
Yeah.
some backup a few years back.
I think I think it was about people talking in a cinema. Was that one of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did an adaptation where it was less rage filled. But to set the scene for people, Paul, we'd both had really annoying experiences with the public.
Hmm.
And I think you'd had a problem on a bus or in a park or somewhere where there was somebody with an iPad. I can't remember exactly what it was. But you were Hulk mode.
That one. It's that one was about people watching kind of new stuff out loud and spoiling like it was during the Game of Thrones kind of thing, and they were watching an episode that I hadn't gotten to watch, and they weren't listening to it with their headphones or anything. They were like out loud, kind of thing, and I was just like, this will be a great idea. Let's. It was not. It was not a great idea, but it was real fun.
It was. Some of it was just like therapy. It was cathartic. We'd get stuff off our chests.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, Paul, some of our ideas, even probably some of the ones that we did, were just terrible, and we would do them, and then they'd actually turn out to be all right because we would adjust it on the fly a little bit, and then another better thing would come out of it. But there are, our best videos have never seen the light of day. Because I don't know if you remember it, but there's a couple of times when we lost recording for either a technical issue or because, battery died and we had no idea because the camera was too far away back in the early days.
Yeah.
But there was one night I remember we had just done, and it was like 10 minutes. It was that perfect kind of, we've just had the best chunk that we'll ever do of anything. And it was a technical fault. I remember it hadn't recorded right. I had lost all of everything, and we were both inconsolable. I actually don't think we even recorded something else that night because we were so pissed off. I think we might have just got a pizza.
I think we walked away at that point.
Because
I think it was a time we
literally
had
bereaved. We were so sad we'd lost the first good thing that we'd ever done.
Yeah, we had something in the bank. We had something in our backlog that we could use for that week.
Yeah.
But I remember us just going, we can't, like we're just so annoyed. And I think it was one of the first times. And that's going to happen a lot. Kind of technical fault stuff, but that one particularly, it was just soul crushing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing because we put a lot of effort.
Oh gosh. Well, I want to get back to the comments as well, Paul. And by the way, I found the YouTubers versus Alexa. it's funny. You can almost tell which one of us, like me and you, know from our own styles. But once you get to know it, you can see like Endgame being all hype and the YouTuber Alexa is me. You can tell by font style at different times. And that YouTube versus Alexa, I'm really sorry, Paul. I don't know what I was thinking putting us behind those weird podiums. The video itself is weird. And if I remember, I'm going to play it actually. No sound. But if I remember, I think we mounted, yeah, the Alexa weirdly between us somewhere. Like
Yeah,
it's awful.
I think it was like meant to be. It was on like it was either held in front of us or something like that. It
I
was very
think we
weird.
taped it to the top of a mic stand or a tripod. That's how weird
Yeah.
things were. So do you want to pick out another question there? Who's after Dan?
How do you keep coming up with like streaming topics? So yeah, that's a bit of a difficult one. It's not a difficult question. I'll be honest with you. But it's a difficult one to kind of like I guess quantify. We're constantly coming up with ideas. I think we came up with, but the problem is that it's the one that kind of surfaces to the top of those ideas because like you can talk about anything, especially we can. Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where we were just we would come up with ideas. We'll pick something that we think um the other one will like to do, or we specifically want to do, and the other one we know that the other one will have fun doing it as well. Um, we kind of produce different episodes, me and Patrick, kind of a little bit more. Um, so that's the way we've done it in the sense
Yeah.
that one person will produce one day and will the other one will produce the other day, kind of thing. But yeah, it's difficult. I'll say that.
Mm.
It's difficult to come with ideas that you have to weigh them up. So you have to come up with ideas that you want to do that you also will think that audiences will want to listen to.
That's
Because
true.
there's plenty of videos that we've done that are just for us. This video here, the one about 5 years, is probably really more for just for us, but it's also fun to have a lot of people in the chat and kind of have a conversation about it. Um, but yeah, it's a combination of kind of something that you want to talk about that you think other people will be interested in. You take into kind of current events or things that you can talk about around like some kind of movie. We do list out the release dates of every single movie pretty much in a year, and kind of
Yeah.
try to put ideas against those and try to see the movies. But yeah, it's a difficult soul crushing. Christmas is kind of our replenish time where we're
Yeah.
kind of like we do pre-records, and then we get a space where we'll probably chat like during the break and stuff like that, but we don't have to come up with a couple of ideas for a while. So that's a big kind of
And truth is also, Paul, like my inbox is full of mails to myself that have 4 words in them, or I have notepads and stuff. If I'm just having a conversation with somebody, sometimes something will be said that'll make me think of something. Either a play on words that will then it'll relate to a TV show or make me think of whatever, and it can be really abstract. And I'll be right, get that down. Next time me and Paul are looking at a list of ideas, I throw these in. Some of them I won't even throw in because they're not full ideas. Like how many times have I said to you, Paul, I've got something and I want to
yeah.
say it, and then I start describing it more than like articulating it properly. I'm like, well, is then over with this, and it's because I wanted to bounce off you. And usually, we have 3 ideas out of whatever that one thing was. The worse I am at explaining it, the better it is for generating multiple different ideas,
Yeah, it comes out
which
a
is
little
kind
bit
of
more.
funny.
The other thing is pre-show and after-show conversations between me and Patrick also tend to get a lot of ideas as well going.
And they're so
Where we're
much
kind of
better than our
like
actual show, Paul.
like
We should
there's
just
some
record
yeah
the after show conversations and put that up as a
there's
different channel.
yeah there's sometimes where we're having a conversation where like we could have said so much more, kind of thing. But yeah, that's how we come up. So it's random ideas, something that we see that maybe we want to kind of take another spin at, kind of thing. Um, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I'll say that. And we used to have some kind of formatting when we were able to record, but now it's kind of like a little bit looser just because
Yeah.
in recording you can kind of chop out parts and stuff like that, whereas live you can rant and go down horrible, like, sub branches and stuff like that that like are amazing for the audience but take you such on a journey that it's hard to get back to the original point, kind of
Yeah.
thing that
Well, Paul, I think
right.
at this juncture, because I was just about to go, yeah, sometimes we ramble, and I'm like, I think we've just done it again, but we're allowed to in this show. So thanks.
Yeah,
Great questions so far. I'm going to drop back to the questions in a second. I just want to say, because I found you were saying, we tend to try and produce our own ideas now. And part of the reason we learned that is there's nothing worse than feeling like you've screwed up the other guy's idea. Well, at least for
yeah,
me. It's like, Paul brought this, but this idea, I got it, but I was on the list for doing the work that week. And then I make a thumbnail. Back in the days of editing, I do the edit, or in this case, produce the live. And you're like, oh shit, that was their idea. I think they may have gone a different way about it. So you can kind of like, and this is why I've stopped on this screen, top 10 TV cars. I think everybody knows that's me and my thumbnail, not because of the thumbnail, but because it has the word cars in it. It's very likely to have been me. And right below it is anime for beginners. And
yeah,
Paul, people know that's your thumbnail because it says anime in it, and that's
yeah.
going to be much more likely to be you. But to the right of the anime one, because I already pointed out one of our worst, my favorite thumbnail, and this came up in our like 300th episode or wherever it was, when we had a little look back, polarizing movies. I was so happy when I came up with the concept for that thumbnail, knowing that it wouldn't actually help the video. But I
Mhm.
was like, a Polaroid, us, make it. But if you look really closely in the background, it's actually our channel from the time. It's our play page. And no one else is going to care. But I know what's in there. I know you know what's in there. And it was one of those things of, I actually like the video that we did. I thought it was great. It's actually,
Mhm.
that's 24 of our better minutes. But it was one of those thumbnails that, yeah, I don't know if it's going to work to actually get people to click on the video. But I really fucking like it.
Yeah,
So from thumbnails that I've done that I look at and go, oh my God, I can't believe Paul let me put that up. And I'm so sorry. I should write him a card. I'll send him a letter and say sorry. To ones where I'm like, yeah, Paul, if you hated the polarizing movie one, now don't get me wrong, I definitely changed things about it looking at it now. That text color is all wrong. Um,
experience.
but I'd be like, yeah, I doubt Paul's going to hate that or think it's completely devoid of any creativity. And that feels
Yeah,
good.
that's
It feels good not to be ashamed of your own stuff.
yeah, like the yeah, because when we're producing, we come up with the idea, we have a conversation with the other person, and we also come up with a thumbnail and everything like that, and it's kind of like seen as kind of a lot of these times it was kind of we were trying to collaborate a lot more in the sense that like I'll take this part and you take that part kind of thing. We still do that, but it's now understood that it's kind of like the person who's come up with the idea is a little bit more kind of say on or kind of has the idea in their head and
Yeah.
we're trying to work with that part kind of thing. So like the polarizing kind of thumbnail, like I think it's really good. I do understand that you were just like, I think the background is going to be hidden. We did have a conversation about that, going like, I think the background is going to be hidden, and I was just like, who cares, put it in. um if it's for you, then that's the matter. Like there's tons of things in here that are just for us.
Yep.
um
Lots of
whether
little
the other
inside
person,
jokes actually hidden. And if you want to find the secret to the lost gold of the Sierra Madre, you have to watch all our videos and find the one video where I've actually parted my hair to the other side. See,
or I
this
just had crazy hair.
this is how you get people to watch your videos on YouTube. You get them to watch your whole back catalogue, not realizing that I was joking, although there is a good chance at least once that my hair was pointing the other way. But there is no price
Yeah,
for finding it. Legally binding, T's and C's, read below. Not available in the Cayman Islands.
there's a few where I'm wearing a hat.
Hey,
um,
yes, there are.
but yeah,
Actually,
so
Paul,
yeah,
would you mind
that's
telling the people at home what I was like to you when just before we'd hit record and you're still wearing the hat? Because I think the first time I
oh
did it, you were like, really? And I'm like, God, I sounded like such a dick. Because I think I
oh
looked at you and went, so you're keeping the hat? Looking at him, then looking at the camera, go, you're keeping the hat? Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think
I like my
yeah,
hat.
because that was also the time we used to do pre-title stuff as well. We
Yes.
used to do little funny things like kind of thing. Oh, I actually realized this is something that I actually do miss about the records. Um, But yeah, so we used to do little kind of funny things that we used to do. We used to record and then kind of have a conversation and stuff like that, and then cut something out of that that we thought was funny.
Yeah.
The hat part, the first time I wore a hat on the show, Patrick like religiously, like I was some kind of heathen, came at me about the hat. And then and then cut in probably the nicest part, which was, "Oh, you're keeping that for the show, are you?" And then yeah, kind of thing. But the clapping part, because we used to have to sync our audio,
Yeah.
because we were in the room, we had to sync our audio. That one of us would clap, but then it became both of us clapping because we used to just constantly do it in unison, and then we would do like double
Multi-clap.
clapping,
Yep.
then triple clapping, and then quadruple clapping was like the goal thing. And the sad part of that story, we had so much fun because it would be perfect unison. So you'd see the audio waves while editing, and they would be perfectly in sync, kind of thing. But the saddest part of that story is the fact that when we did start doing live streams, we tried to do it,
I know.
like for our first couple of live streams, and it just heartbroke us that we couldn't do it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So there you go. There's a little wave of
And
kind of like, yeah,
that's
it's
the
one of
thing,
the
Paul,
funniest.
because we'd made such a ritual out of it that we'd look at each other because it's we were messing with our notes, blah blah blah, and then we'd silently just look at each other, and it was usually because we were quite close shoulder to shoulder. So I looked like a certain politician there. We were quite close, very close. We were the closest people. But we would have to pull our hands slightly away from each other to give space. So we looked like we were about to, flamenco or something.
Yeah,
And there was a stare and a clap, and then a clap, clap. And then that look in the eyes of, is there a 3 in us tonight? Clap, clap, clap. And if it was going well, we might go for a 4, but we knew that we couldn't start an episode if we just bummed it, like if we just completely
yeah,
ruined it. So we'd have to start again and get one good clean clap. It's like, we're not doing it on a bad clap, we're doing it on one good clean one where we perfect synced.
yeah. It's one of those. It brought up the energy in the right kind of way for us in the room, kind of things, which was great.
Yeah.
So if you ever see, like, if we ever go back into the room, we probably will show you. We'll probably show you that if our first kind of like back in the room record kind of thing.
If you watch
Um,
our if you open up our channel on a incognito browser or one of those that doesn't know that you've ever been to our page before, YouTube has this thing where it plays a trailer for you. And in our trailer, I cut in a bit of us doing the clapping thing. Just for me and you, I was like ridiculous hand gestures because we were doing a lot of it. But one of them is us clapping
yeah,
away. God, I forgot the clap, Paul. I missed the clap. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's going to get cut out and used against me.
it was a fun kind of thing. Um, which is just going on to some of the things. Rant us out. Yeah.
Yeah, Kim,
That
welcome,
was.
Kim. Good to see you here.
Who watches TV shows when out and about? It was on a bus. They were just an asshole.
There you go, assholes.
Um, People who have their phones out, loudspeakers grinding my gears. Yeah, that's pretty much what it
Family Guy
was.
reference.
Um,
Oh, what
what
piece
piece
of
of
new
new
tech? Sorry, go for it.
equipment? Yeah, what piece of new tech or equipment made the most difference? Ooh.
See, I think we could say lots of things like the Zoom recorder when we were trying to get audio, because mics was one thing, but actually being able to manage the recording, I think, cameras, all that stuff. Because the tech since we've gone streaming, it's all been good, but I think the transformative stuff was in the earliest days, and really, I don't know if tech did it as much as does a adapter for a battery count as tech? Because once we didn't have to worry about having the battery charged and we had the adapter to plug the
Yeah,
camera in and get constant power,
yeah, the dummy battery. Yeah,
that was life changing.
yeah, that was a big part. Yeah, because it didn't mean that we were kind of stuck to a short
Yeah.
recording kind of period. It did allow us, which is the reason why you're now watching us for 51 minutes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I think my piece of tech thing wouldn't be the actual tech itself, but it's us learning the use of things and editing and stuff like that kind of thing. I think it was that we became more practiced using them a lot more and more. specifically to do with the show and stuff. Because like our setups now at home are quite different, but in the early days they were exactly the same, mic on mic kind of stuff. We had the little stool with our little arms, that nightmare stool, kind of thing. But learning kind of there it is. That's what we used to attach all our arms to, all these kind of things here. Um, I think the thing was, yeah, the tech stuff, learning how to use the tech stuff. But what the other things was learning, because like people don't realize learning mic stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the biggest things that we had to learn as well, because like we had to get the pop filters right, T's and stuff like that had to be softened.
Hmm.
Over talking over each other at the start was a big problem that we had to several kind of conversations about, kind of thing, which became more natural. We still do it, but
Well, now it's the
uh,
exact opposite problem because of the delay. I'm forever giving you hassle going, talk more over me. I'm going to talk over you because we now don't know how much of a delay happens between us. It's hard not to end up with a bit of dead air here and there.
yeah, and so like yeah, so there was a couple of things like that, learning etiquettes and stuff like that. That's probably the bigger learning curves that have made us a lot better, kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's kind of I think would be my thing for new tech or equipment, was learning how to use the voice kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, and also putting these headphones on the right way around because it used to kill Paul. And I remember the first time you ever spotted it. These are directional headphones, as in there is a right and a left, but they'll sit on your head the other way around. And I remember him looking at me when I realized, oh, I've got the right on the left and the left on the right. The look of like, am I working with a chimpanzee? The disgust, the absolute disdain. And I'm like, all right. But I knew you felt it and I knew you meant it. But there was also just that love of a friend who's really sorry for their idiot pal. It was the sweetest yet most crushing moment. I'm like, all right, yeah, no, you're right. I've put my headphones on back to front again and didn't notice. It's like having a friend who wears, their t-shirt inside out. It's charming,
Yeah.
but now and again you do want to go, should we get him a helmet for any time he's approaching stairs?
Um, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was also sometimes you would do it on purpose because you'd be just like, "What do you mean?" Um, piece of tech actually. Oh, learning OBS. OBS has allowed us to continue recording and playing with each other and talking to each other. I'll say that's probably one of the biggest key moments of or key things that we've learned. Definitely
Yeah,
OBS, kind of thing. But yeah, the random tech things that we would also do to each other and stuff like that.
yeah,
Do you remember? Because our mics were had a back to it, had a back and a front, because they were
yes,
directional mics.
yeah,
And the time that we recorded the entire thing with both of our mics in the back, and it sounded like we were in a tin can,
yes.
but it was one of those throwaway ones where we were kind of like, "We'll do this for 5 minutes and kind of warm up," kind of thing. And we were just like, "Why does it sound like we're in tin cans?"
That's
And we
right.
realized that it had both of our mics had turned turned to the side.
And
That
ladies
was
and
awful.
gentlemen, this is why we always wear headphones now. We're always
Mm,
monitoring ourselves live. It is true that some things burnt us so hard at the start that nothing has changed. As in,
mm.
since then we've never done it. We could easily do the episode without like I can do this right now. There you go. I have
Yeah.
ears, everybody. Um, but I'm so used to not hearing myself in the room. I'm so used to hearing the feed of myself and you clearly that we've just become the headphone YouTubers. It's who we are.
Yeah.
And there's a few things with lights and all the rest that I think we would habitually do. We're miles away from each other now in different rooms, but I have some ideas as to what Paul has done where and in what order, even before a show starts. Because yeah, it's true messing up that you find out what you don't want to happen again. And Paul, messing up, we're going to be coming up to 55 minutes now, I think. I think what we should do is not try and run over the hour, just to
Hmm.
see if anybody will watch this video that isn't a friend of ours. And everybody out there, thank you for joining us with questions. It's awesome. We've got a few minutes. Throw in any other difficult questions. But I want to ask Paul one of the most difficult entertainment questions ever. I just haven't really thought of it. But what I'm going to say is,
Is this a thumb up question?
No, I've not. The thumb up question is if I ever think of the worst and most challenging question to ask Paul, I'm going to give him this sign. This isn't it. I haven't thought of it yet, Paul. But if you had to choose one famous person to replace me to do the podcast with, who would you replace me with?
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, shit, that's probably my answer too. I'm
I
like,
think.
yeah,
I think
I didn't think there was a right answer to that till you gave the right answer.
if you think this one, the reason is if you completely forget the experience he has of being on camera and stuff like that
Mm.
kind of thing. I think that he and you bring up the same kind of energy. That it would essentially just be like, apart from the experience part, it'd just be replacing
Aw.
you with someone who has the same energy as you do.
You did
There you
that in
go.
front of everyone, Paul. He's just been out nice and out sweet. And now the tears are going to come. God damn it. I'm so glad that I also have another video surprise for Paul at the end of the episode. We used to do
Oh, God.
post credits. We used to do post credit scenes in our own show. Do you remember
right.
that in the edit?
Mm.
Well, we're going to finish with one of those. So everybody stay. Once we say goodbye, stay. Because I'm going to play another very random thing that I ran by Paul, but Paul didn't get to read the email yet, I don't think. So did you get to read it? Because you didn't reply.
Is it
Oh yeah, it is.
okay?
Okay, so he's
Yeah, I
he's
should've
fine with it. Good. But yeah, I now like Paul. You've never been so sweet that you would compare me to Ryan Reynolds because you know my
it's
man
true.
crush is strong for him. Strong. Like Ryan is. He's a lot of things to me, and I think he's all things to everyone. But I wouldn't replace you with him. I don't think like Ryan Reynolds is the right person to do a podcast with. He's a pretty good answer. But I think, and this is going to be weird, there's a kind of a creative, Guillermo del Toro, your boy. I think there is a
Yeah.
part of every time I see an interview with him, accent and speech pattern completely different. That's not where I'm going. But you know the way he has a deep love and affection for what he's talking about. Like it matters to him. Like I'm the one on this channel between the two of us that some stuff matters to me, and some of the rest of it I'm just having fun with you with. But one of the great things about doing this with you is you have a deep seated, like you care about what you're talking about. We don't do much that you don't have some level of actual care or connection with. And I think that's awesome. And I think that is something that's irreplaceable. And it's great that one of your personal favorite people is somebody that if you ever watch an interview with him, you can tell he cares. So yeah, maybe Ryan and Del Toro should do a podcast called
No,
Schmieros Faut.
we can't. We can't go against that.
Replace ourselves. All right, I'm seeing fun video guys from. I want to call out a couple of commenters. So Gavin, Kim, Brian, Nora, Afro Gutang. I'm not going to pronounce it wrong. My eyesight's bad right now. But everybody's ever watched, and Brian and Pop Culture 33, who's going to watch this probably later. I want to call you both out specifically as some of our longest time watchers, but Brian in particular, I think you have seen all 400 and whatever videos we've done now. So thank you for being such a constant commentator, such a constant support. You're a part. Oh, there goes our time. You've been a massive, massive support. So much so that in 2024, we're hoping to actually get you on the show and do a little bit of a record with the man himself. So then everybody else can comment on what he says and be smart about wanting us to fight.
Yeah. I also want to thank It Takes Two and Homebrew, who have been great friends of the show as well. And it's been an honor and a privilege to see them grow as well as Pop Culture. Pop Culture is also I do like to take a little bit of. We should take a little bit of credit to kind of pushing him over the line because he really wanted to do a YouTube too.
And he's off there doing loads of different things in loads of different places. In fact, I must reach out and get him to give us a list of what we should pump. By the way, all of our sponsors are not sponsors. We have never received anything from anybody, but we try and feature people that we like and respect. and we definitely like and respect everybody we featured.
Yeah. So big thank you to them. And it's been an honor to see them grow as well. And it's been an honor to entertain you for the last 5 years, audience.
And on that note, Paul, I think there's nothing left to say, but I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Hear Us Out. Enjoy some weirdness. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I'm going to listen to this now.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto ad un giro d'amore.